Rasha YouTube channel. In this video, I am recapping episode 10 of I May Destroy You, The Cause and the Cure, which is a great title for this episode. We really get to dive into Arabella's origin story, so to speak. Trigger warning, this show and this review contains content surrounding sexual assault and rape. So if those are topics that you are sensitive to, now is a good time to dip out. I won't take it personally. This episode, I think all the episodes have had really relatable content. This episode hit home for me to the extent that I cried, because we're really seeing the origins of just how long Arabella has struggled to confront difficult emotions, difficult truths, difficult situations. She's repressed a lot of things, and then when they come up, it overwhelms her, which happens to a lot of us when we come to realize who people are in our lives and the extent to which they can show up for us. And it can be devastating when you see the humanity of a person who you love and you realize that this person just is not great at showing up for me in this way. And we see that that starts with her childhood, with her father, which I have been told that it's really common for men to just have like multiple families where like the mom and the dad are not formally married or formally divorced or formally whatever. There's just this arrangement where the dad just kind of lives somewhere else, but they're still a family. I'm not familiar, but I have heard that that's very common. But just to back up a bit, the episode opens up with this flashback scene of Arabella with her brother, and the dad shows up late to bring her some McDonald's, which he was supposed to be taking them out to McDonald's. And everybody know when you was little, McDonald's was just like such a special treat. So the brother is kind of like, yeah, whatever. And Arabella has so much hope that he's gonna come. And you see that Arabella has always been a bit detached from reality. As an adult, she was using social media to detach. As a kid, she was using her Game Boy. She's always had this escapism to not confront difficult emotions. So we see that T is preparing for an audition. And Ben, who I continue to think is just an amazing support system for Arabella. He continues to show up for her time and time again. At first I was like, what is his function? But he seems to be the only person that she can really actually trust. But also it seems that she takes him for granted. And I think that in my own life, I have done that. The people who really know how to show up for me emotionally and mentally and spiritually are people who I have previously taken for granted in favor of people who were not great in that area, who their capacity just to show up for me as a friend kind of stopped at a certain point. And I took people like Ben for granted, and I think Arabella takes him for granted because he notices so many things and points them out to her in such a gentle way, you know, like how he talked to her about the abortion. And, you know, sometimes the best thing for us is also the hardest thing to do. And, you know, pointing out to her that like, girl, ain't nothing left in that vape. You know, he has such a gentle way with her that I would like to see her be a little bit more appreciative of. So like I said, this episode, we really see the origins of Arabella's repressing of difficult things. So it's Arabella's mom's birthday. She's supposed to have dinner with her mom, her brother, and her dad, but we see from this flashback that her dad is like this about showing up. So before she, you know, heads out to see her mom, she meets up with Simon. Arabella apologizes to Simon because she's like, you know, I feel bad that I ever even considered that you would be someone who would hurt me in this way. And he's like, no, you're good. And he apologizes for having left her because he feels like, had I never left you to go do whatever, this wouldn't have happened to you. And she's like, no, it's good. They both mutually shut down a conversation that they probably could both benefit from having. But the thing is, just like T has shown Arabella who she is, Simon has shown Arabella who he is. He is now living at home with his mom because, you know, it looks like he and Kat have broken up. And I'm glad they gave us something about the Kat and Simon situation because they subjected us to that wig for like no reason. If y'all weren't finna give us more tea about their relationship, y'all did not have to put Kat in that tragic wig on this show. So at least we got a little bit more information about where that went. But Simon's not a trustworthy person. And I think sometimes we look at our friends and see how they treat other people and think that they won't do the same thing to us. Not so. Um, and Simon reveals to her that, T and he both lied. That T gave him permission to leave her there. And the really shitty part about that is that even when Arabella confronts T about it, there's no real conversation. She just forgives her. And again, I think that it's easier for Arabella to forgive people for hurting her than to confront the fact that maybe these people aren't good people. Maybe I need to create different boundaries around these people. I think it's great that she acknowledged the ways in which T has shown up for her this year, but she was showing up for you in that way out of guilt because she knows that she had a lot to do with this. I don't think that she should have been so quick to forgive either Simon or T. I think that they really should have had a deeper conversation about why they felt that it was okay to lie to her, to leave her, in Italy, to leave her in this club where she was 3 sheets to the wind. I hate that she didn't actually confront this. And I think that shadow, that scary, scary shadow person that we saw at the beginning of the last episode that I completely missed, I think that is her repressed memories. That is her repressed emotions. That is an amalgamation of all of the things that she has avoided haunting her. And I think that's why this episode was so appropriately named. One of the recurring themes that I noticed in Black is King is this notion of you have to start at the beginning in order to come back to yourself. You must always go back to where you started. I think that's where Arabella is, because when you're trying to heal from something, it's one thing to heal in a controlled environment. For me, that has been New York. I started therapy and I started meditating and I started all these, and journaling and everything when I was in New York. It's very hard to translate that healing into familiar spaces where you existed as a completely different person. That's something that I'm experiencing right now, being in Atlanta, where typically I'm only here for about 3 or 4 days, and I'm here being in service to other people. I'm here for somebody's birthday, for somebody's wedding, for somebody's baby shower, and I don't have the opportunity to be very present to confront some of the traumas that I've endured here in my hometown. Those familiar places can sometimes trigger things in you that you aren't really prepared to confront. And that's exactly what happened with Arabella in her we discovered that Arabella's dad moved out from their home, and he lived in this different place that Arabella would sneak in and out of because she wanted to be closer to her father. And this woman who present day comes over that Arabella does not even recognize, that she's calling auntie, is obviously a friend of her mom's. And Arabella's like, who even is this woman? Arabella has no memory of the fact that she snuck into her father's house and saw this woman in her father's house. Because in Arabella's mind, it's just, oh, my dad just lives in a different place. But, he and my mom are together. We're a family. And it's repression, repression, repression. She cannot face the truth that her daddy left them and is sleeping with her mom's friend. And she completely did not even recognize this woman until her dad brought up this story about his house being robbed and then his car being stolen because Arabella was sneaking in and out of his house. And it's like, well, maybe she would not have had to sneak in and out of your house had you actually followed through with getting her a key made like you promised her that you would do over and over again, and you didn't do that. And I think it was also really interesting that her brother was saying, like, you were never paying attention. I was always listening to what the elders were saying. I always figured out what they were saying, like in their native tongue, which I'm drawing a blank on right now. I completely forgot what it was called. But Arabella's always been a bit detached from reality. And when she comes to realize present day, this woman who I saw in my dad's house in this compromising position, she was wearing his shirt, ain't have on no drawers. This woman is my mom's friend. And that memory washes over her, and she has to be excused. She excuses herself from the table and talks to her mom. And her mom is like, the only thing that matters to me is my children. To hell with him, even though she did go out of her way to make herself cute because she knew her baby daddy was coming over there. I thought it was really, in a way, I'm glad I didn't see the scene where she tells her mom that she had been raped, because that was a lot. But Arabella asked her, like, are you okay knowing that this woman who is your friend is, was with dad? And she's like, she was his plaything and she was my friend, and it just kind of is what it is. And maybe that's where Arabella gets it from, of it's a hard truth that I just have made my peace with. Maybe that's where she learned that. And they go back to the table and kind of act like nothing has been exposed, nothing had been discussed. And it was just an overwhelming moment for me when she like hugs her dad, and once again she's just accepting, this is who he is and I still love him, but I'm not going to have a conversation with him about it. It's okay for him to call me out about my mistake as a child of leaving his window open and, people stealing all this stuff from him, but it's not going to be okay for me to call him out about leaving our family, showing up when and if he wants to show up. And and even the dad being critical of the brother, it's like, well, where do you get off being critical when you tapped out? I thought that dynamic was really, really interesting and really reflective of Arabella's struggle now to confront very hard truths, because she's been avoiding them for a really long time. Y'all know my boo Kwame. Kwame is back out there. He's back on the dating scene, and he comes across a guy who makes him dinner, makes him a drink, and this guy is interested in a different kind of intimacy. I think that there's sex, and I think that there's intimacy, and he was not prepared for that. He actually responded really like harshly to the guy, being like, I actually just wanted to get to know you. I made you dinner, I made you a drink, like, can we get to know each other? And he's like, you're wasting my time. Like he responded with such anger that it's just like, wow, you really aren't even used to a person being interested in you for anything other than sex. So when someone comes at you in a different way, you respond with this kind of frustration. And I have seen people do this in real life, and maybe this is giving me a glimpse into the other side of that, so that maybe I can have more compassion for people who don't know how to positively receive love or whatever. But when he was I also admire the guy for standing his ground, because he was just like, I just want to have dinner with you. Like, I wasn't really trying to do that. I admire that about him. I admire that he exercised his agency and didn't allow himself to be coerced into doing something that he didn't really want to do, that he wasn't prepared to do. So when confronted with the option to do something else, Kwame says, I would just really like a hug. And that sent me. I got emotional. Because I think that that's an emotionally intimate act that maybe he really hasn't had with anybody. And I think I'm hoping that maybe this means we're going to get to see a love story for Kwame. I don't want his whole storyline to just be surrounded by trauma and having reckless sex and things like that. I really want to see, when I say reckless sex, I mean the whole confusion with him and that woman and things like that, not the assault. That wasn't reckless on his part. We don't victim blame over here, but him having this very casual sex. I hope that we get to see him loved and respected properly by someone. I think that that's important, and I hope that we get to see that before the series concludes. This episode was really, it was a good one. I mean, I think Michaela Cole really called us all out on some of our own shadow behaviors, and that thing continues to haunt me. That opening scene from the previous episode, I don't know why that was so scary. I guess it was scary because I didn't notice it the first time, that she was hovering over herself just in this menacing way. And I really do think that that's our repressed memories and emotions and the things that we're too afraid to confront. I think that we all probably have something like that hovering around us, not in like a physically like real way, but maybe that's why it was so scary for me, because it's like, I wonder what it is that I'm avoiding that might be haunting me in that way. But again, I thought this episode was really, really good. This may be my favorite episode, actually, and not because so much good got accomplished. I would really like to see Arabella, I would like to see her stand up for herself more emotionally and not just be so accepting of people treating her however they're going to treat her. So we'll see. I think we have 2 or 3 more episodes to go, so we'll see what happens. Again, I really enjoyed this one. Drop down the comments, let me know what you guys thought about it, and be sure to subscribe and to like and to share, and send me money if you'd like to support me via my Patreon. The link is in the episode description, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!